opening this up. Keep in mind, our country is at an inflection point. We are talking about the youth. They're changing youth. They're snatching their rights back from the ruling classes if they are not happy. They are more assertive, they are more demanding, and they are less tolerant of this resigned indifference to corruption and all the problems in the system. Opening it up right now for interjections, what we'll do is 30-second interjection, 1 minute reply. 30-second interjection, 1 minute reply from both sides. We'll go from this side to the other. We'll keep it fast, we'll keep it moving, and we'll allow the first interjection from those speaking against the motion. I've been seeing that hand go up for a long time, so I hand it over to Fawaz Shaheen. Be specific, Fawaz. Who is your interjection to?
Address Dr. Kiran Bedi. You said Jan Jangal Jameen is being bled by the politicians, but it's not just the politicians, it's also huge multinational corporations and assorted number of NGOs and middlemen cutting corners. And what do we do with them? I mean, 2G scam, we all demonize 2 Raja, and that's how it should be. How many of us boycotted Tata Docomo because it benefited from the 2G scam? Where do we place the responsibility of the others involved in corruption? Where do we place the responsibility? Why do we respect all these middlemen? Why do we idealize money so much? Just because somebody has made money, we know they've made money out of cutting corners, and yet we don't hold them accountable. We don't organize social boycotts. Why don't we boycott a doctor, a government doctor who's doing private practice? Why do we give them the incentive to be corrupt? And it's all of us. So you can't just keep blaming the politicians. They're just the most
Kiran
visible
Bedi is
symbol.
responding. No, Kiran Bedi, you can interject after that.
Friends, multinationals cannot walk in themselves. Multinationals and no companies.
No, watch it. Let her reply.
No company can walk into these jungle zameen areas by themselves. They have to be cleared bureaucratically. Look what's happened in Colgate. Who allotted Colgate blocks to private companies which had nothing to do with power, cement, etc.? Who did it? It's the politicians. Politicians bled us in thousands and thousands of crores in Colgate, in 2G, in CWG. All these companies came through government and bureaucrats. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's been a political bureaucratic nexus. And also the corporates. But no, corporates have paid for it. They paid, but who asked for it? They paid the price and absolutely distorted the level playing field for other deserving. So your Colgate, your 2G, your CWG are all initiated by the givers. Who is the giver? The politician, the minister, and the bureaucrat.
Wait. Let her complete. Then we take a first interjection from the other side.
So therefore, all I'm saying is no multinational, no company can just walk in by itself. It's not a walk-in. It's allowing a walk-in. It's making a passage for walk-in at a price. And that's what I said. The politicians have bled the exchequer of its national wealth. And national wealth which belongs to all of us.
First interjection from the Treasury benches. Who's it coming from? Okay, it's coming from Ashwin. Go ahead.
Can I just back to what Dr. Bedi said?
Do you concede that? Because then as she's going in for a counter interjection. Go ahead.
Who comes in with the suitcase of money offering it to the politician? Why should that hand come to the politician?
Why do they accept?
Why?
Well, let her complete one at a time. No, one second. May I request one thing that from one side? Let one participant speak from this side, and once that is over, complete with
would you as an individual pay to get your child good admission or something? That's a decision you make on your own moral values.
When I'm not getting it in the first place, I will go ahead.
So that means
that
means the company that's going in with the money back is excused.
No, the fact that these are essentials and not delivered immediately to at the time of my need, I will definitely look it out of the ways to go ahead and gain the same,
That's
right?
what is wrong.
Now, secondly,
that's where the problem starts because you don't want to follow the path.
No, I understand. I will look at the problem from your side, ma'am. Now, when you spoke about liquor bottles, the want from the other side, that's why the provision from this side, right? Now, don't you realize that we elect a government that has the ability, we assume that they have enough ability to discern between what is right and what is wrong, better than what we have, right? So when I ask for a liquor bottle, will you keep providing me the liquor bottle until I keep asking for it? Is my question, that's it.
Counter. 1 second. Would you like to respond to that, or we move to an interjection from their side? You have an interjection. Who is it to?
To that bench in general. So you spoke about how the society, and to Vipul Nanda specifically, when you spoke about how society is the political class is a reflection of society, right? If that were true, then today a lot of practices like dowry and casteism would still be legal. No, we as a society recognize our flaws, and that's why we institute the government to insulate us from our own flaws, right? It's not a utopian society. We have problems and we create a political class to have some vision and lead the people. But what do we have instead? When the Khap Panchayats go ahead and kill the youth in Haryana, not one political party comes out and opposes this Khap Panchayat. When the political class is colluding with the Khap Panchayats who are murdering the youth, what hope does the youth have? And they're saying, you don't come out and say anything. If I come out and say anything in Sonipat in Haryana, my head will be lopped off, and I don't want to go through that. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not speaking up.
In the context of Khap Panchayats, is Sachin Pilot provoked enough to respond? Let me say this, Sachin, that in a letter to the Khap Panchayats at that point of time, a member of parliament from your party, Mr. Jindal, acknowledged their existence since the time of great rulers like Ashoka and Harshavardhan and said that they have always given a new direction to society. That was the reference. So are Khap Panchayats a reflection of the society is the question the youth are asking you?
Well,
Sachin.
I'm not here speaking on behalf of any other member of parliament. I'm speaking for myself in this debate. One, whether it's one panchayat, Khap Panchayat, whatever panchayat it is, there is one law in this country and nobody is above that. A panchayat may issue diktat, people may or may not follow it, but the rule of law, the government and the eyes of the law are same for anyone. I, for one, do not stand with any diktat of anybody who believes that he or she, collectively or individually, is above the law. Panchayat or no panchayat. I come from a rural area and I understand the dynamics of caste politics. Still, it takes a strong person to get up and say no in the face of opposition. And I've done it, and I'm telling you, you may bear the political negativity of it, but you must have the courage of conviction to say so. And I say for myself. Second point you made, my young friend believes that the government over the last 5-6 decades has done nothing. One thing we used to have in the 80s was a lot of horse trading. It was the political class which imposed this rule of having a 2/3 majority to break a political party. We imposed some political reform. I don't think it's sufficient, but it's a beginning in the right direction. We have an election commission. 25 years ago, the elections were run amok. No one knew what was going on. Today, there is such stringent oversight by the election commission. Who appoints the election commission? Who appoints the judicial process in our country? It is the political class which gives it oversight to all these agencies. They may not work perfectly, but they do give a counterweight on how things can be stopped when they go wrong. So 5,000 people were mandated to run this country in 52. Today, there are 3 million directly elected people, from the panchayats to Zilla Parishads to the mayor to the corporations to the MLAs and MPs. So there has been decentralization of power. How has that happened? Because the politicians didn't want to keep the power. At some level, we thought we must decentralize the power of making decisions.
Mr.
And
Pilot,
that all has happened.
are you in favor of Are you in favor of reservations on economic criteria rather than that of caste? Because if you say so, are you?
I believe
because
that
I found
everybody,
a previous comment of yours which reflected a certain amount of uncertainty, I thought, because when you were asked this question about whether you support reservations on economic criteria instead of caste, you said in April 2001, and I quote you, Mr. Sachin Pilot, you said, even if you wanted to give benefits to the poor in India, what criteria can you use? You can't use land as criteria because the land ceiling laws, no one has that much land. Without reliable criteria, how do you go about identifying the poor? I feel if someone of a family has in the past availed the opportunity, they shouldn't get it again. I'm just thinking aloud, but there's no system to record that either. In other words, you are not speaking assertively, Mr. Pilot,
so
against caste-based reservations. Are you willing to make the big change?
I am so flattered. You've done some detailed research on what I said 10 years ago, and I still stand by it. Let me tell you, in this country, we still work with the ovarian lottery. Where you are born, who's your mother will dictate which caste you're in, what your social status will be, who you'll marry, and what your jobs will be. I'm of the opinion, anybody born in any religion, any caste or any part of our country deserves the helping hand of the government. And there should be economic-based criteria to determine who or she, let me finish, who the person the help must go to. I'm one of those people who believe that I belong to the backward community, for example. Me and my children do not need reservation. Anybody who has availed the opportunity of getting the benefits of a reservation must not do it for their children or their grandchildren. We must rise above it, but today, as you know, in India, farm income is not taxed. There is no way to determine how rich or poor a farmer is. If we are able to devise a criteria on economic reservation, I'm all for it.
See, Mr. Pilot, the question, no, one second, I just want to, the question asked, because it stemmed from the question asked here, which is a very basic question. This country's youth require big, radical change, and they need a group of politicians who no longer tell us that Khap Panchayats are tradition, or caste-based, criteria for giving away benefits is necessary. We need a radical change beyond that, and that hopefully, like the withdrawal of this ordinance and bill, should not have to be forced upon the political class. We have a rebut from this side. One second. Who's your question to?
Mr. Pilot. Okay, go ahead. Your idea of reservation, I do not negate the fact that reservation is a tool to represent, right? But have you realized how reservation as a tool
has been demeaned by the political class? I'm assuming I know reservation is a good tool, right? But what the political class has done is create controversy out of this tool. This sacred tool of reservation, giving representation to people in the lower class, has been messed about, has been tampered with, and we have a lot of controversy on that. Don't you see that this tool has not been used in the effect that it was desired to be used in?
You know, reservation, by the way, is not a poverty alleviation program. Reservation is, for thousands of years, people who have been subjugated to social evils are giving a platform to go and speak and represent themselves. If there was no representation, if there was no reservation in parliament and assemblies, how many Dalits would get elected? How many Dalits today are in business, are TV anchors, are journalists, are running business houses? Because the society is shaped that way. We all need to get education to make sure everybody has the same level playing field. And the one way to do that social inclusiveness is to have reservation. And until we amend a constitution and have reservation based on economic criteria, we will go by what's there. The Article 343 of the Constitution states that reservation will be given on the basis of years of backwardness of society and education. Economic criteria is still not been figured out, but I'm personally of the opinion that if you have economic criteria, there'll be more even-handedness, and everybody, upper caste or low caste, if you're poor, you deserve the help of the government. That's my personal opinion. We'll have to get consensus to change the whole constitution to get that going. 47, when the country got independence, we needed that positive attitude in our thinking so that people who were on the fringes could be made part of the mainstream.